All right, a bit of a video walkthrough on this. So first off, we did this just before leaving for Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, if you weren't here, you're not going to get credit for it. I can't remake brine shrimp, unfortunately. So this part, if you weren't here for it, just skip. So next one is this right here. So for this one, again, unfortunately, if you weren't here the day we collected data, you won't get lab credit for it, but you can still get credit for this part. So this, unfortunately, you can't click because it's a piece of paper, but on Google Classroom, I'll show you where to look in just a second, you're going to get 4 randomly generated numbers. And then you're going to need to highlight them. Don't highlight these are just the ones that were randomly generated for me. And then you are going to go ahead and figure out how much gum is underneath all of Silver Creek's desks. So instead of going to the Yellow Key, go to the Brine Shrimp and Desk Lab. Here you're going to find a couple of links. Again, if you were in class, we use this, so don't use it anymore. But you're going to need this here, the random generator for gum. So you're going to click and you're going to need data for desk 21, 27, 10, and 6. So I'm going to come back to my paper here. So if I was doing this, this would be desk 27. I already forgot my numbers. 21, desk 10, and desk 6. So when I come back over, that's what I have here. Now, of course I highlighted the wrong one, so I'm just going to circle these. So I need data for desk 27. I need data for desk 21. I need data for desk 10. And I need data for desk 6. Now I'm going to pause it, so if you're absent, use the data that I'm going to show on the screen. Now this is why, again, you can't get full credit because you're borrowing data that you didn't collect. So based off whatever random numbers are generated for you, these are the numbers you're going to go with. So I'm going to scroll down here, just pause the video and take a look. So in those boxes, I'm going to write down how much gum is on each of these desks. All right, so when I come back over here, this is the data that I got. Again, it's different for yours based off what desk you randomly generated. So what is my big A? In this case, we have data for 32 desks. How many do we sample? 1, 2, 3, 4. So out of the 32, we sampled 4 desks. Now, how many pieces of gum are underneath those 4 desks? Well, you take these and you total it. Okay, now it's as simple as the equation, which I always give you, big A over little a times n is equal to big N, like that. Done. All right, over here. Now, this is to figure out, okay, well, how much do we estimate is underneath the desks in the classroom? Okay, this is trying to figure out how much gum there is underneath all the desks on Silver Creek. So first off, we need to know big A. How many desks are on Silver Creek's campus? Well, if there's 86 classes and there's 32 desks, then big A is 86 times 32. That's going to give us our big A. All right. How many desks did we sample? So for this example, I'm going to go back to this. We sampled 32 desks. So I'm going to put that for my little a. Now, out of the 32 desks that we sampled, how much gum was there? So I let this do the work for me. It added up all these numbers and it gave me 353 for my little n. Now, different periods are going to have different numbers. So again, just depends on who was here. This just happens to be a class that had all 32 people here today, and we have data for all 32 desks. So coming back to this, we have data on at least the set that I gave you, 32 desks. Our big N was 353. We know what our big A is going to be, and we can calculate big N. So it's the same as always, big A over little a, please show your work, times little n. Okay, that takes care of the front. Flipping it over to the back. So again, please don't copy down these numbers. You can write this number down, 228. This is another randomly generated set of numbers. So if you go back to Google Classroom, I'm going to head back here, and we take a look at the second link right here, the link for flowers. this is going to give me a set of coordinates. These are my 10 numbers. So I would go in and then I would highlight. So don't use A3, okay, use whatever it generates for you. In this example, these are my randomly generated numbers. I highlighted all of them, so like there was 2 in A3. How many were in B7? So there's 3 in B7. I also have a B6, and B6 had 3. Anyways, you take all of these, you add them up, and that turns into your little n. Okay, so what's big A? Big A is how many squares total do we have? Well, we have 100. Out of those 100, how many do we sample? Well, if you take a look, we sampled 10 of them. And now it's as simple as big A over little a times n. And that's different for everybody because they were randomly selected. All right. So these two numbers should match, this one and this one. Now what I'm asking you is, it's going to give us an estimate. How close was I? Was it higher? Was my estimate higher or lower than the actual number? And then was it more than or less than the actual number? All right. Over here, just write this right now. Random sampling is just, like, why would we use it for phytoplankton? Because they're microscopic. Why would we use it for kelp or seaweed? It's because it doesn't move. Squirrels and sharks, we haven't covered this, but we'll cover it later. We use something different called marker recapture. All right, over here, this will help out because this was a little bit confusing. So in this one, it's basically saying, look, you have a total of, I'm not going to do it for all of them, but you got 6 squares. And you went out and you counted 3 of them at random. So 1, 2, 3. And in those 3 squares, you had 20 barnacles. Okay, so it's big A, which is 6, over little a, which is 3, times how many things did you find in 3? Well, you found 20. And then that should give you that answer right there. Then for this one, so instead of your big A being 6, it's going to be 12. And yes, there is a typo here. This should say sea monkeys. So same thing here. Now, you count 30 sea monkeys in 5 mLs. That means you sampled 5 mLs out of this 1,000 mLs, and then out of this 3,200. So again, it's big A, which is 1,000, divided by how much did you sample out of the 1,000? Well, you sampled 5 mLs, times how many sea monkeys were in there? 30. And that will give you this population estimate like that. And then you just do it for 3,200 mL. Same thing. You out of the 3,200, you're going to pull out 5. You're going to find 30 sea monkeys in there. All right, that should take care of this one.